Welcome back, guys, to Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney, as you find us in court, of course, where Mr. Stickler is talking about the death of Mr. Maractus. It seems that a little bit of logistics was sorted out involving the direction in which the shooting happened, hitting our victim in the right temple. Turned when Stickler shouted out. He saw it all supposedly, so he continued to press his lovely testimony. Indeed, whereupon our cowardly killer, the defendant, appeared to have become frightened. Did he now, because you shouted? Can you describe the killer's actions more clearly? He seemed quite surprised, especially considering that it was he who did the deed. As we can see, human psychology is a tangled web indeed. He simply couldn't believe what he had done. He shot, he panicked, a common tale, but true. Unfortunately, before I could take further action, tossing the pistol aside, he fled from the scene. Seems like a stupid thing to do. You didn't try to apprehend the criminal? It all happened so fast, I'm afraid I hadn't the time. Doesn't something about that strike you as odd, Apollo? What? The killer was in a hurry, right? He fired the pistol and tossed it right away. According to testimony, that's what happened, yes. In that case, I'd expect to find something that we didn't find. Find something? Find what? Well, check the court records, sir. The fact that he ran away and just dropped the gun is stupid, but can I really present the gun at that? 2 rounds were fired, fingerprints were wiped. He definitely didn't drop the gun then, because if the fingerprints were wiped, that takes time. I guess not too much time, but if he ran away like he said, also 2 rounds were fired, not just 1. This is the real question here. I like that contradiction. Kind of sad to see it go. Not as sad as I feel. What do we do now? At least the testimony's getting a little clearer. She's right. Maybe I can find something to use in this new testimony. As soon as the killer raised his pistol, I took action. No, I think... Alright. We know he didn't just straight flee from the scene. Because, of course, he wiped the prints. But why would you leave the gun behind anyway? That's the stupid thing. He was seen doing it, and he knows he was seen doing it. And he didn't kill the witness. He had a gun, 2 shots were fired. Where's the second shot? I'll present it to there. This should be fine enough. Probably the gun is presentable to pretty much any statement here. Objection! Wait a second. Another misleading request. Yet you're so beholden to your own mode of discourse, you can't see how it affects you. Come again? Wait a second, you say. A second. Are we intended to wait just that? A single second? 1/60th of a minute? That's hardly enough time to draw a breath, let alone make a statement in court. Now I'll have to ask for a longer period of time, say 3 minutes 35 seconds. Mr. Justice. Yes, Your Honor? Am I to understand you're objecting to the length of a second? Yes, I mean no! Here, just look at the pistol. It doesn't have a single fingerprint on it. Ah, a common ploy, made all the more common, I fear, by the prevalence of television. Criminals these days are loath to leave fingerprints. Wait, but you said the killer tossed the gun and ran. That's right. He didn't have time to wipe the gun for prints. It was timing. Why was it timing? Maybe he just calmly like, and deposited it on the ground. I don't know. Ah, the little girl sticking it to the university student. There's a song in there. Okay then. I'm not little. Then let's think like adults, shall we, Fraulein? Eh? What if the killer, the defendant, was wearing gloves? Gotta admit, I didn't think of that, Apollo. Well, Mr. Justice. Could the killer have been wearing gloves? Well, if we say I guess, then we're sticking it in a solid testimony and saying that he did it. Now, if we're talking fingerprints here, we have a shiv at the scene bearing Wocky's prints from the day that more or less says he wasn't wearing gloves that night. Problem being, and it's quite a big problem in some respects, that places him at the scene of the crime. So, isn't this kind of like to prove one thing, we proved that Wocky was there with, like, you know, with a knife in front of Mr. Maractus, and that he did see him. I don't like the way this is going. The record of the murder weapon is very clear about one thing. The fingerprints were wiped, which means some tracer prints remained. Ah, so that's clear, like, they were definitely wiped, there was definitely time taken. Which contradicts your testimony. If everything happened as you say it did, he wouldn't have had time to wipe the pistol. That may be, but it does not change what I saw. The killer, the defendant, he threw down the murderous weapon from his hand and fled. And this pistol was found at the scene of the crime, strongly suggesting that this was the weapon he disposed of. That sounds solid to me. Well, Herr Forehead, any of your precious objections? What gives, Apollo? Let's see that voice training go to work. You know, I've only recently realised something. No matter how much you train your voice, it doesn't matter if you have nothing to say. What do you mean, nothing to say? Isn't it obvious from what the witness just said? Huh? Isn't what obvious? When he restated what he saw just now, he said he saw Wocky drop a murderous weapon. But that's not the same as being 100% sure of what Wocky threw away. You're right. He's just confused because a pistol was found at the scene. Poor Mr. Stickler. It must be hard to be so perfect, and yet so wrong. Well, it can be said that I'm quite offended. While it is indeed true that once in my youth I was seized by the teacher and posted on the blackboard to see the appellation, Paul might be prefixed in my name and... What we can say for certain is that the witness saw the killer throw something. Does the defense have anything to say about this? Well, if what he threw wasn't a pistol, then it had to be something else. At least one person on the defense team seems to be thinking. I'll wipe that smile off your pretty face, Gavin. Perhaps you can inform the court as to the nature of this something else. What did the killer throw away before fleeing the scene? Well, this is not helping, is it? Is that a sword? I saw one of those on a late-night movie last night. Great, a sleep-deprived judge. This knife was found at the scene of the crime, with the defendant's prints on it. His prints! The single piece of evidence proves two important things. One, that what the defendant threw down wasn't a pistol. Two, the defendant wasn't wearing gloves. Indeed. Oh, Herr Forehead? You're forgetting two other things you've just proven. Huh? One, that the man the witness saw was the defendant, Mr. Wocky Kitaki. Yeah, I knew that was happening. Two, the defendant was holding a knife with the intent of harming the victim. Oh. Indeed. Never underestimated Gavin is the lesson here. This court is of the opinion that our witness is fond of making assumptions. In that light, I believe it would behoove us to hear about what really occurred. With less assuming, please. Oh. It is always the same with you people. Mark left the house on foot, and 5 minutes later his brother left after him. How long would it take for Mark's brother to catch up to him? Assuming that Mark never had to stop for a traffic light. Assuming. Yes, that's what I said. Assuming! As if that were a probable situation at all. Yet here you are assuming that my assumption is no better. What this court assumes is that the witness will testify as to what happened after the shot was fired. Right then, from shot to cool. I could not prevent the killer from leaving the scene, nor could I simply leave the scene in good conscience. Ergo, I used my cell phone to call the police. Until the police arrived at the scene 10 minutes later, I saw no one else. Why didn't you chase the killer? He was, as you say, a killer. Of course, I could have run him down, yet what would he have done when cornered? Sadly, it takes more than an aptitude for solving quadratic equations to know that. Did the testimony earlier not prove the defendant's presence at the scene? Do we not also now know there was no one else there? It seems clear that we have our killer. Does it not? Does it not, Mr. Justice? I better find a way to take this testimony down quick. From shot to cool. Let's press. It could not prevent, or I could not prevent, the killer from leaving the scene. To be honest, I wouldn't expect you to be fair. Which way did the killer run? By that time, it was clear the killer had noticed me. Naturally, he ran in the opposite direction. That would mean he ran in the opposite direction from the Kentucky mansion. Achtung! Don't even think about pointing out that he was going away from his home. All he had to do was loop back once he was out of sight. How did he know that's where I was going? Nor could I simply leave the scene in good conscience. Didn't check the victim? You certainly can pose for someone who had just witnessed a killing. If one is to devote one's life to the pursuit of science, one must never flinch at the sight of a little blood, nor be so moved by a chemical discovered that one drops one's flask upon the lab room floor. Ooh, cool answer. Very cool. So nothing strange about how he acted. Trucy looks like she had something to say. Oh? Ergo, I use my cell phone to call the police. What did Trucy have something to say about? This is interesting. Right, whatever's going on with that? Trucy, help me! Wasn't your first thought to call an ambulance? It can be said that I have dabbled in medicine. The injury I witnessed, namely a single shot to the head, tends to result in death. Ergo, there was no need for me to call an ambulance. Oh, a perfect syllogism. A proof in free pass. Exquisite. Simply exquisite. He actually looks like he's gonna cry. Trucy's got something to say to me. Until the police arrived at the scene 10 minutes later, I saw no one else. I'm waiting for Trucy to come out here. Can you tell us in detail about these 10 minutes? I stood in a state of heightened awareness. Anything could happen at any moment. Anyone could appear from any direction. Is that all? No one came. Nothing happened at all. I saw it all, which is to say, I saw nothing. It was late at night. It's not odd to think there would be a few people around in the park. So we just stood there, watching? Not much to go on there. What do you want? Trucy, if you've got something to say, by all means say it. I can't find a single problem with that testimony. Had enough at last, hair forehead. Maybe it's time to back off a bit. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, no, yes, 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 no, no, yes, no, yes, no. I don't know. I mean, obviously we can't back off. And Trucy's got something to say. If we just let it slide, that's not going to help us at all. The defense still has some questions that demand answers, Your Honor. Your opinion, Prosecutor Gavin? I'll let him play attorney until he's satisfied, I say. I'll amuse myself by composing my next smash hit in my head. Very well, you may continue with the cross-examination. So Trucy wanted to say something from like here onwards. He was certainly composed something just yet. We all know the text. Let's see if Trucy acts differently. Okay, something happened differently. As soon as we pressed something, Apollo just said no, maybe there isn't anything at all. Maybe there isn't anything left to unravel in this testimony after all. Some of us have glamorous careers we'd like to get back to this month, hair forehead. They don't have enough to put Wocky away yet. Should I back off for now? So obviously we should back off. Trucy, I think it's your time to do a bit of a Mea Mia thing, possibly. Help, Apollo! He's new! There's nothing fishy about that testimony at all. It appears there are no objections to the witness's current testimony. There are any number of ways to explain the lack of prints on the pistol, I assure you. Perhaps the killer really was wearing gloves which wiped the previous user's prints off. Then, after the deed was done, this fell out of his pocket as he was throwing the gun away. A mistake befitting of a small-time punk, in my opinion. No! No! To be honest, he's got more to get you now. Trucy, you gonna help at all? No? It seems we've come to the end of the line here. No, that can't be all. How unfortunate. It seems that you weren't cut out to stand on the same stage as me. Were you, Hair Forehead? I believe this brings the cross-examination to a close. This court will now declare verdict for the defendant, Wocky Kitaki. Yeek! What? I'm not quite sure how that happened. Trucy? Nobody move. What's the meaning of this? Who are you? There'll be no verdict in this court. Not yet. Wait, are you one of the Kitakis? The Kitakis? You mean the notorious gangsters? If you don't want to see me give the pretty little girl a new smile, do as I say. Adjourn the court for 20 minutes. What? This court will not bow to pressure from the likes of her judge. I see little point in further aggravating this gentleman. Recess, 20 minutes, or I promise you'll regret it. Wait! How did he disappear so fast? Come to defendant lobby, Apollo. I suppose I have no choice but to adjourn for a 20-minute recess. Bailiff, catch that mysterious man! Right then. What we've been led to is something completely different. Well, let's save the cleared data and move on from here. Right then, June 16th, as we head to District Courtroom, defendant lobby number 2. With people overlooking us as well. Trucy! Trucy! You move quick, Apollo. Good show, good show. Of course it's Trucy. Trucy, you okay? I thought... Don't cry, Apollo. Those good-for-nothing gangsters. There's some things you just don't do. I'm pressing charges. Wait, just calm down, Apollo. Or else... What the heck is that? Surprised? This is one of my best tricks, the amazing Mr. Hat. You look marvelous, darling. He's a big hit on stage at the Wonder Bar. Yes, I'm a big hit. Ha ha ha. Well, what do you think? Do you like it? You mean you... Trucy, there are some things you just don't do. I'm pressing charges. Apollo, now is not the time to be threatening me. It's you who's being threatened here. Huh? Remember what you said to Wocky's father yesterday? You promised you'd save his son. But that testimony was rock solid. What are you suggesting I do? Look, once the judge declares a verdict, it's all over. If I can use my talent to stop that from happening, I will. Trucy, no more stage abductions, please. I'm not talking about magic, Apollo. I know when the witness isn't confident. I can perceive what he's feeling. It might not mean anything, but it's all we've got. You can see what he's feeling? Think back, Apollo. Think back to the times when there was a contradiction in his testimony. All the times. All the times there was a contradiction? I remember or I don't remember? Of course I don't remember. Actually, I don't remember them exactly. Good thing I do. There were 2 times when he made statements he wasn't confident in. And each time, there was a contradiction. In his hand he held, yes, a pistol. It was pointed at the man pulling the stand. Tossing the pistol aside, he fled from the scene. He said the man tossed aside a pistol, but it turned out he wasn't sure, and sure enough, there was a contradiction. Well, that's true, but how does that help us? Did you notice anything? Whenever he made a statement he wasn't confident in, he turned the page. He displayed a certain habit. In his hand, he held, yes, a pistol. It was pointed at the man pulling the stand. Did you see it? The very moment he said the word pistol, his fingers got all tense, and he fiddled with the corner of a page in his book. How am I supposed to see that? Well, I could see it. How else do you think Daddy went 7 years without losing a game of poker? What? I always sat next to Daddy during big matches. I could see what his opponents were feeling. You You mean that's how Mr. Wright won all those games? It's not cheating, officially. I wasn't looking at their hands or anything. And I wasn't there all the time either. Daddy's quite good at poker after all. But not good enough to go undefeated that long. Great, so he cheated. What does that do for us? I don't believe this. You have to listen to his testimony one more time. No, scratch that. You have to watch his testimony. Perceive the truth. Watch your testimony? Perceive the truth? The only thing I'm perceiving is that I'm gonna lose. Not true. Daddy said so. He said you have the power, Apollo. Mr. Wright said that? Watch the testimony. Perceive his true feelings. Is she serious? Time's up. Sorry, I can't think of any other way out of this one, Apollo. What was that she said before the trial started? Huh. Mr. Wright's not here today? He said his old foot injury was acting up. Yes, he smiled when he said we'd be fine, as long as you're there, Trucy. Is this what he meant by us being fine? Well, methods aside, she did avoid one guilty verdict already today. Time to show this court what I'm made of. Get ready for justice. Let's do it. Apollo! You know, I'm starting to think I can do this. I knew you could do it all along. Oh, one more thing. Try to cover for Mr. Hat as best you can. I just flew in from the coast and boy are my arms tired. Right. That's quite a cool animation though. Right then, back to the courtroom. Court is now back in session. Right, we're fine. I'd like to say to the young lady standing next to you, Mr. Justice. Oh, you mean me? Don't you have anything to report? Anything concerning the mysterious phantom in the silk top hat? Ah, right, him. Don't worry about him. I settled that. You settled that? Yes, it was an out-of-court settlement, right? Perhaps Fraulein would have us believe it was nothing more than a passing dream. A fantastic illusion. Now you see it, now you don't. Am I right? I think he's onto me. I wish he would stop being so cool. Let us dispense with these niceties and get straight to the matter. What are your plans for our gifted witness? Right. The defense would like to request another cross-examination. Because I forgot to ask something. Yes, don't sound weird about it. There was no issue with the witness's previous testimony. I will grant your request, however, for this court will not permit stalling for time. Understood, Your Honor. Don't forget, Apollo. When he isn't sure about something, he has a habit of fiddling with his book. Right then. So we're just looking at the hands and not the testimony itself. I could not prevent the killer from leaving the scene. Well, it's obviously not here. Nor can I simply leave the scene in good conscience. It's obviously not here. Ergo, I use my cell phone to call the police. Until the police arrives at the scene 10 minutes later, I saw no one else. It's a bit more pronounced than just the fiddling with a corner. I'm not sure I'm qualified to watch testimonies after all. Focus, Apollo. Find his weak spot. Focus. If only it were that easy. My ears hear what he says. My eyes see his expression. Do I have to do something more? What other senses do I have? What's this? My bracelet? What's going on? My bracelet feels different somehow. I think Daddy was right. You can see it, can't you, Apollo? You're almost there. Find the weak spot in his testimony. I know this sounds crazy. My bracelet is trying to tell me something. Yeah, it just sounds crazy. You sound bonkers. All good, though. So it's the third statement. Right. But how do we, Is your bracelet something to present? No. Do we press this, then? So you call immediately after witnessing the murder? The police undoubtedly have a record of the call. Why not check with them? Wait, Apollo! This has to be it! What, you mean his habit? Don't forget, Apollo. When he isn't sure about something, he has a habit of fiddling with his book. The only time he had even had the book open was here. Which means this is the place to look for his habit. I don't know how I know, but I know. Know what? It's my bracelet. It's different. Somehow, I can feel it reacting to something about the witness. Your bracelet? I'm not sure I get this focus stuff you were talking about, Trucy. But I have a feeling that trusting my bracelet is the way to go. Okay, I just need to touch my bracelet as it reacts to the testimony. Okay. Is that going to be a permanent button now? What's going on? I can see the witness's face. His expression so clearly. It's filling my mind. I can see nothing else. Hear nothing else. Apollo? Trucy, what's happening to me? I can hear nothing else. You just heard her. What's happening to me? This is what I meant by focusing. Focusing? In this state, you can see everything, Apollo. Everything the witness does. That's great, but this is kind of freaking me out. Just look for Mr. Stickler's twitch, his habit. You remember it, right? Sure, when he says something he's not sure of, he fiddles with a page of his book. You got it. Right now you're looking in the witness's face. And your eyes are sort of bugging out. I'll bet they are. First, move your focus of attention down to Mr. Stickler's hands. His hand? You know what to look for now, but you have to be looking in the right place. She's right. I can only see his face like this. So I'm going to try changing my viewpoint. Right, in the small screen, we move down to here. Perfect. Now you're really ready. Ready for what? Ready to perceive the truth behind the twitch. Perceive? Try listening to the witness talk as you focus, and watch for his habit. Right, you mean when he fiddles with the page? That's right, that's your signal to look closer, to perceive. Find his weak spot, and I guarantee we'll be able to give him the royal flush. Spoken like a true pokerhead's daughter. I'm a magician, thank you very much. So I have to pay attention to his words, and his fingers. Don't worry, if you miss it, you can always try again. Right, look out, nervous twitch, here comes justice. Right, there's two separate bits of the sentence, and it's here. Not ergo, because that's just a word. I used my cell phone. Obviously you didn't. Gotcha! Gotcha! That's a new one. Oh, yeah, it's a good reply. How do you say, like, I see your invisible tweak? Judge, this is a thing. How do you come across saying this now? How do you come across declaring it to the court? I saw it just now. I can see it.
Mr. Justice, do you have something to say?
All this banging of desks. It's quite bad for my circulation, you know. Miss Stickler, allow me to ask you a simple question. Why did you fiddle with a page of your book just now? The very moment you mentioned your cell phone. What are you talking about? I'm curious now about this cell phone of yours. Mind if I ask a few questions? What to ask? For his number? To see his phone? Or ask what model of phone? To see his phone, I guess. Mr. Stickler, please show me your cell phone. Why? Whatever for? Show me and you'll find out. Well, I can't. I don't have it, you see.
You don't have it?
Mr. Stickler, is this your cell phone? That we're owning? On us? Right now? With a fancy watch bit? That a smart person would have, because it doesn't have normal numbers on it, it has Roman numerals. Oh, they're smart now. Not really, but still. Is this your cell phone? Yo! Where did you get that? That's the phone from yesterday. Look, a cell phone. Someone dropped it beneath his tire. If the car moved, it would be crushed for sure. I wonder if it belongs to the doctor here. How strange, Mr. Stickler. Can you explain why your cell phone is sitting here in my hand at this very moment?
Wait a minute, what is the meaning of this?
This cell phone was found yesterday in the Maractus Clinic garage.
The Maractus? Why, that's where the victim lived.
Yeah, that's impossible. Mr. Stickler, you lied to the court, didn't you? If your cell phone is here, how could you have called the police? It's true. I didn't have my cell phone that night. No, he didn't. And this blows up things wide open because we can say he wasn't there at the scene of the crime. He didn't stay there. He was doing something else. Plus, he was at Maractus's clinic, which is suspicious in and of itself, considering Mr. Maractus died that night, or Dr. Maractus, I should say. Well, that another episode comes to an end. And for those of you who are true sleuths out there, did you get the fact that I'm ill and I'm trying my best to do my voices and all that jazz without my nose being stuffy? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Maybe you noticed I was nasally. Maybe that caused you to do an objection. What's going on? Well, we continue on now that Apollo has gained his perceive ability. Next time on Apollo Justice, where I'm sure I'll be just as ill. Hopefully getting better. I'll see you next time for more. And hopefully my voice will be good. Bye-bye.